Okay, so who here knows the term product market fit? Okay, cool. So the term was originally coined by Mark Andreessen in 2007, but it's a pretty simple concept. It's the idea of, for your business, coming up with or finding a market that's big enough and coming up with a product that's good enough to satisfy that market, get people to buy it. Seems simple enough, but I know, and I can tell you this, that actually finding product market fit, that magical point when you can actually go scale your team and grow your company, is much harder than it sounds. So product market fit to me is an illusion. It's one of these things that's really hard to hit, and even when you think you found it, you're never quite sure. So I'm going to give you some tips on, how to look for that and what you should, what kind of numbers you should look for and how you know when you're ready to scale. But first, I'll do a quick introduction. Hi, I'm Janna. I'm co-founder and CEO of ProdPad. It's product management software and road mapping software. It's a SaaS tool. And I'm also co-founder and CEO of a group called Mind the Product. It's a group of product managers. We hold big events as well as small events, actually here as well, so it's great to be back. So this is something that I was told, that getting your first 10 customers is the hardest. Once you've got your first 10 completely unconnected customers paying you, and they're not your mom or other friendlies, then that's product market fit, right? And I remember trying to find those first 10 customers, and it was a struggle to get people to pay us money. It was a slow process. The product, frankly, wasn't finished. It sucked back then. And it took a long time to get those first 10 customers. That was months of work. And then I realized that this is a lie. Getting the first 10 customers is actually, in hindsight, a lot easier than what was to come. Getting 10 customers is a start, but really it's more of what you call problem-solution fit. You haven't proved that you've got a market yet. You've proved that you can solve a problem with by building a product, but you haven't really proved that there's a whole market that will pay you to build a profitable company around it. Product market fit is probably closer to 1,000 customers, and that's a long, long, long way away from 10 customers. So a few things to remember, and I made these mistakes. You are not your market. I ran into this problem because, ProdPad was built because I was a product manager and I needed tools for my own job, and so we started building it. It was built out of solving our own problem. Should have been simple to sell this thing to other product managers. Unfortunately, as soon as we got it in front of other product managers, we realized that their processes were different enough that our product was pretty much useless, and a lot of it had to be thrown out and started again because we just weren't thinking about the wider market. So you're not your market. Your early customers aren't your market either. Early customers are eager to find a solution, anything, even a half-baked product, to solve their problem. And unfortunately, they don't represent real users. Even worse, your LaunchRock signups and your beta testers. The problem with beta testers is that beta testers are really good at testing betas. They're not particularly good at reacting like real users who get frustrated when things aren't clear or if things break. So even if you've got a lot of beta testers saying, yeah, this is great, get it out there, don't believe them entirely. That's not how the market's going to react. It's going to be tougher to get it out there. And even if you get people to buy your product and give you money for it, I mean, don't get me wrong, that is a great sign, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got product market fit. Hell, it doesn't even necessarily mean that you've solved their problem. If you're charging less than maybe $100 a month for your product, I mean, how much is a few £100s to a company who's got staff and other costs? They're happy to just test these things for a few months and see what sticks. And so what we see is that people will try it out, and then within a few months, if it doesn't fit, they'll churn, they're gone, they're not going to pay you anymore. So even though they're paying you and it seems really promising, it doesn't stick, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you found the right product for this particular market. And your users change. When we launched ProdPad 2 years ago, we only had to deal with customers who'd been using ProdPad for a month or 6 months or however long the product had been around. But nowadays, some of those early users are still with us, and they use the tool more voraciously than even we use our own tool. They're more advanced users than we ever imagined we'd have, and they've got more advanced needs. And it's possible that your customers can even outgrow you. So if you don't change your product with their changing needs, you're going to lose product market fit. And so, the customers that we have 2 years on, we have to deal with building out solutions for them and dealing with more and more advanced requests. But we also have to deal with the customers who joined yesterday and want to see a new product that's still simple without all the complexity that's been built in for older customers. So how do you get to this mythical product market fit? Talk to people, and this is probably obvious for all of you to talk to your users, but you know what? Talk to the people who don't use your product, who actively decided not to use your product. If you've got a sign-up rate, if you've got a trial to paid conversion rate of, let's say, 5%, great, that's a really good start. But that means that 95% of people who try your product don't pay you for it. Now that's a huge missed opportunity, but I mean, these people are trying your product, they thought it was going to solve a problem, and it didn't. Go talk to those people. At ProdPed, we do an exit survey for every last one of our users who tries it and decides not to actually subscribe. Now, the completion rate isn't perfect on this because a lot of people aren't bothered anymore, but the insights that we get from this thing are absolutely pure gold. So talk to the people, particularly the ones who don't like your product. Now, test everything. Now, I trust you guys are testing your code. I trust you guys are probably doing user research and testing the interfaces. But there's more to your product than just the code and the interfaces that it's made up of. So at ProdPed, we test the pricing and the trial length and the package sizes to see what works. And these are actually easier to change than the code or the interfaces. You can just change a price and see if more people buy it or less people buy it. And so by doing this, we've been able to sometimes double our conversion rate by having our trial time. We've been able to get 4 times the amount of money out of each client just by raising the price and seeing who still sticks around. So there's a lot of stuff you can do there. And talk to your customers about your vision. If you're doing this, then you're able to find out as to whether, you're saying, these are the problems we want to solve along the way. Make your roadmap public, make your plans public. Maybe not in detail and dates and anything like that, but talk about where it is that you want to take this thing. And just do that sense check to make sure that you are solving the juiciest problems, the biggest problems out there, that there is a big enough market and a big enough pain point. Because that one thing that you're solving, you might actually find out that there's other things that they'd like to see in the future that you could charge a lot more for. So how do you know if you've reached product market fit? It is a tough one, honestly. One of my favorite tools is this customer development survey. It's a series of questions that Sean Ellis of Qualaroo developed. And you can see it at survey.io. There's a great example there, or you can just riff off that and create your own. But it asks questions like, how would you feel if you could no longer use this product? Or what would you use instead? And it's a great tool. I'm not sure if you guys know about the Net Promoter Score, which is a much more popular one. It's based on the question, how likely are you to recommend this to a friend? And it comes up with a score that tells you how good your product is. I honestly find the customer development survey, the insights from this, to be a lot more useful than the more popular NPS. So do use this one. And at survey.io, you can basically start one for free. Now, if you can get more than 40% of your customers to say that they would be very disappointed to not be able to use your product, well, that's probably product market fit. There's more to it than that, but that's a good indication. Your users should absolutely feel the pain if you took away that product. If your app goes down or your service goes down, you should be getting dozens, if not hundreds, of frantic tweets and calls saying that it's down. That's product market fit. That's when you know you've built something that people care about. And find out how people talk about you. One of the other questions in the customer development survey is, how would you describe this product to a friend? And that's hugely insightful. Now listen to that language that they're using and use that language that they're using, because how they're describing it is how you should be selling it, how you should be marketing it. Remember, half of product market fit is not just building the product, it's marketing it as well. If you can market it better, you might be able to just hit that market a little bit better and find that fit that much faster. So listen to how your customers are actually talking about you. So product market fit is all about finding this scalable, repeatable model. It's at that point that if you've got product market fit, that's when you get more salespeople and get more support people and just start growing the team and doing what you did before, but doing it faster and getting more money for it. That's when you've hit product market fit. And it is incredibly hard to find that product market fit. I'll be the first to admit, I'm standing up here talking about product market fit, and ProdPad hasn't found product market fit. We're somewhere between that first 10 customers that we thought was going to be hard and that mythical 1,000 users that we really want to get to. We've got great points already. We've got hundreds of users. We've got some crazy advocates who love us. We've got some blue chip case studies and company names and stuff like that. But we're not just yet ready to just ratchet down and double down on content and double up on salespeople and just go from there. And we see so many companies, who get this funding and then just throw it onto their team and think if we just double down and got more people doing more stuff, we'd win. And then you just see them falling flat on their face because they don't have product market fit. They're early users that showed that they had something, weren't quite right, and they didn't exist when it came to finding the next 500 users. So if you are going for funding or if you are about to grow your team, make sure that you've got product market fit before you go anywhere. Now I'll finish on a quote that didn't make it into my deck. It's from our handy guide for product people. And it's one of my favorites. It's from Steve Jobs. Got to finish on a Steve Jobs. If you keep your eye on the profit, you're going to skimp on the product. But if you focus on making really great products, then the profits will follow. And on that note, I'll finish. Thank you.